And if y'all don't know what a VTuber is basically one of these people right here. You've seen them all with the caricatures, going over stuff, anything from reading Reddit posts to art drama to who knows what. And, you know, they got the stuff where when they move around and blink their eyes, if they're fancy, and move their mouth, you know, it does things, right? And Flamenco was a VTuber. And so was Cyrex for a little run. I heard Cyrex had a stint as a VTuber as well, speaking of different wool cows that have had their run-ins with VTubers. But there's guy ones, there's girl ones, you know, all sorts of different people. Hey Darcy, how you doing? But VTubers, you know, they're kind of an interesting bunch. There's the VTubers and there's the PNG tubers. So the PNG tubers are a little bit different. I like the PNG tubers personally a little bit more, just because it's not as I don't know. It's not trying to pass off as lifelike when it's not. So the VTubers, you know, you'll see, they'll have like the blinking and the moving, and honestly, it's like a whole bunch of like keyboard shortcuts and like facial tracking stuff. And there's a lot of like rigging and things, like where PNG tubers, and like there's maybe a couple different settings, and it kind of looks like this. Turkey Tom was a PNG tuber. There's a bunch of different people that started out as PNG tubers. So I don't know. I like the PNG people. I like Mr. Red X. Oh god, there's another guy called Omnitron or something like that. He covers like commentary stuff. He's got some like squid octopus thing going on that's kind of cool to watch. And you know what? It's a little bit different. A lot of people get into the space because they like it. They don't got to put their face on camera. They can offer their personality, their voice, without being, you know, on screen. And I would say the VTubers maybe a little step further than that. The VTuber, you know, some of them use voice changers and stuff. And like I said, they use a little bit of different language too. They use things like graduated. You're going to hear graduated be a term. And it's going to come up later because we got a bunch of stuff we got to cover first with things. But graduated just means like moved on. It's their fancy way of fucking saying moved on. So when you hear the term graduated, it basically means they're going to move on. Now, you can graduate from like one service to another. That could happen. So say you're with platform or like corporation X, and you graduate onto corporation Y. So that's one type of graduation. And then there's a complete graduation, which we're going to hear about, which means I'm leaving. I'm not coming back. There ain't going to be any more. Now you can do a complete graduation and also come back, which totally blows what I just said out of the water. Makes no sense. But actually, there's a couple different things with the complete and people like will tend to be specific when they say complete graduation, what they actually mean, because you can come back with a new caricature and all that. So, you know, just to give you a quick rundown, like if you're really still like, what the fuck are you talking about? So we'll look up a VTuber really quick. We'll literally input VTuber, and we'll just run one.
Having their parents find out about
this is a VTuber right here, okay?
An awkward conversation to literally the end of their entire career. But generally, even if a VTuber's parents,
so you see how like the mouth moves, the eyes move, eyebrows, like it's got a whole bunch of different facial stuff going on. All sorts of different things, right? So that's a little different than a PNG tuber. Like I said, a PNG tuber, Keffels is a PNG tuber. So PNG tuber, nope, not VPN. PNG tuber. We'll see if we can find a short real quick. Probably would help if I actually went to shorts. Here, we'll just...
So you want to be a PNG tuber. Alright, first of all, you want to search
this is PNG tuber.
Click the website.
Okay, they're gonna just advertise. But basically it's a lot simpler, okay? Like just basic animations and kind of like flip between them, okay? So we've got the whole like gist of what a VTuber is and what a PNG tuber is. And I'm gonna get our sexual assault panda on the screen. Which one do we want to add? I think this is the one we used last time for our allegations. I think this is our little sexual assault panda last time. It will go something else. How about a bunch of them? How about a bunch of them? I just want something like, I don't know, these guys are cute. Here, we'll go with these guys. Oh, look, you get 3. Okay, we got three sexual assault pandas going on here that we'll have to look at. I figured out something cool to do that's going to make this whole, like, okay, so typically you'd have to listen to me sit here and struggle through, like, reading all of this. And let me just tell you, I wasn't too fond of reading all of this, especially because you see how long this shit goes on? And my articulation is shit. So instead of reading all of that, I came up with a cool solution. I got this thing. This thing's natural reader, right? I threw all my stuff in here. There's no limit. Not only that, we're going to get to see it highlight, and it'll even, like, bring us along for the ride, okay? And if we want to, we can... Oh, never mind. Oh, well. Sexual assault pandas already died. You know what? We'll just go to a whole page of them. We'll go to the whole page. There you go. You pick a panda, you look at it, and we'll take it from there. But I'm going to hit play on this first one. This first one, it comes from a VTuber named Lily. Lily is going to give us kind of the background on what's going on and her allegations that she has against Tora Karu. No idea if I'm saying that right. Probably not. The guy's gone, so I doubt he's going to hold it against me. Not gone like dead gone, but just gone. So let's play this and we'll go back to our sexual abuse pandas.
But it did. I originally was too scared to say anything.
Oh.
Worries of if anybody
You were
would,
so scared
however,
to say stuff?
I never thought I would come out with
There.
this. I never thought something like this could happen. But it did. I originally was too scared to say anything. Worries of if anybody would believe me or if I'd be harassed for coming out about this. However, the more I thought about it, the more I knew I had to, because what if? What if somebody else just lets him walk all over them? And what if what happened to me happens to somebody else? I cannot with good conscience not share what happened to me when I know it could help somebody else. This isn't made to cancel, or start a witch hunt. This document is made with the intention and hope that this is purely a beware, a warning to anyone who is mutual, plans to befriend, or is unaware. Maybe if something similar in any way is happening to you, you can notice the signs that I didn't. If you choose to remain Tora's friend, that is your choice and decision, but do not invite me to servers he will be a part of, or...
What's also great is I got a pause and a play on here, so I can actually interject commentary kind of like we're watching a video.
If you choose to remain Tora's friend, that is your choice and decision, but do not invite me to servers he will be a part of, or collabs he's a part of. I ask for that at least. To rip the band-aid off, Tora assaulted me last year during my trip to AX/LA in a friend's Airbnb we were staying at.
I will say one thing that's kind of nice is this was preloaded right away. Right the fuck away, we got people telling us what's going on, when, and where. She's not going to give us a lot of background, and I don't know if all those background is applicable. You can be the judge of that, but I'm going to let you... I read through this. There was screenshots. The screenshots were kind of... There's some bad ones later on, and they're not bad in the sense of like, oh my god, that's, you know, who wants to look at that kind of thing. They're bad as just for the other guy, the Tora Karu, who's getting accused of all of this stuff.
To rip the band-aid off, Tora assaulted me last year during my trip to AX/LA in a friend's Airbnb we were staying at. I will now go into detail of my recounting of everything, and include screenshots where needed. Before the trip. Some context is needed.
So I'm using the free version of this, so sorry it sounds like, you know, you're hearing this back from Siri. I promise, there is different voices. I've got 3 different stories with 3 different voices, and thankfully I had 3 different voices. That's the only options there are, so if we had more than 3, we'd be repeating, but thankfully we're good.
Some context is needed. Tora and I first met my good friend Scar's servers. A common run on...
I think that's supposed to be they met in their good friend's Scar's server. I don't know. I think that was really the only like verbal, like spelling, grammar mistake.
A common run-on joke that evolved as a group of us got closer and closer is that someday we would all meet up together at a convention or place and hang out. About a year later, as time went on, that place was AX 2023.
And AX is Anime Expo. It's a big con out in California, from what I understand. This Tora Karu guy lives out in California. You'll find out later there's some things that feed into this, and I'll give you a little more on this one as we go along, like a couple other things that I found. But there's also a little bit of a funny bit to this.
A group of them were going to rent an Airbnb and all hang out. I wanted to go but wasn't sure if I could afford it at the time, and wasn't sure if my parents would even let me. However, around this time of planning, the HoloLive concert was announced, and that it would be taking place in LA during the same time as AX. I was originally planning on getting a streaming ticket until a good friend messaged me saying he was able to get 2 tickets, and his other friend also got 2 tickets. So they each had a spare one. And if I was able to fly out, I could go to the concert. I am a massive HoloLive fan if you don't know me, and I begged my parents to help me out and let me go see my OGs on stage. After all, they saved my life many times. A compromise was met and my aunt was going to come with me, and we would be staying in a hotel room together, but our trips were unique in our own. I was overjoyed to tell.
So this sounds a little like guarded, like maybe this person's a little like introverted, never been really far from home, never been out of the house much. This is their first big trip, and their family doesn't even like totally trust them to go on their own technically, because you know they're having the aunt, whoever's sister this is, whether it's the father's or the mother's, like is going out to California too. Business is going to be their own, so they're at least allowing her to run all over LA like a crazy person at the ripe age of 20, and there is no pedo allegations here, so that's a good thing. We don't have to deal with any PDFs, nothing like that.
I was overjoyed to tell my friends I could go, and we were excited after a year we could all finally meet. However, when Tora found this out, he also was excited, but there was something more. It was no secret Tora at one point wanted to be more than friends, however there were some things that I didn't meet for his dating criteria at the time. The biggest was that he wanted somebody in his own state. While I had thought that ship had sailed, Tora, I guess when he heard we were gonna be in the same area for a while, still wanted to at least get in my pants. The earliest I recounted when going back in our DMS of this starting after it was confirmed I was going to AX was in April. That's when the tuned-up flirting began, and the suggestion of something more. This persisted up until July, when the trip and concert was. I will now share some screenshots of the things he said.
We're not going to share screenshots. There wasn't really much. I saw a thing, like, it was just kind of conversational crap here. We don't need it.
I will now share some screenshots of the things he said. You may be wondering why I was giving into all this and letting my walls down, and my answer is that I had known him for a year, he hadn't done anything so unredeemable and horrifying yet. And I trusted him. Tora unfortunately was like my rock when I was coming out of a rough breakup back in December of 2022. I hung out on his server and with everyone else there to cope and take my mind off things. And since he had helped me, I was willing to look past some things he had said, whatnot. I was vulnerable, and I guess in a very...
I guess that's second grammar and whatnot.
I was vulnerable, and I guess in a very human way wanted attention that I missed.
I'm like a bit of a grammar, like, N-word. Not that N-word with the hard R. N-word. You know what? I'm just gonna stop saying things right here. I'm not gonna elaborate on that. You take whatever N-word you think it is, but it's the short one with the I-Z. Yeah, that one.
I was vulnerable, and I guess in a very human way wanted attention that I missed.
That was so stupid, I'm sorry.
I was vulnerable, and I guess in a very human way wanted attention that I missed. Tora knew how to press every button and had known me long enough to figure out how to get me to even slightly reciprocate. I let my walls and guard down, and around this time I had even begun catching feelings for him. So when he brought up the topic of having sex at AX, I was scared. But I didn't totally say no. There were some other things that happened as well that made me uncomfortable that I let slide. For example, he had sent me an unsolicited dick pic.
Okay, So can I say, there's not a whole lot of preface slash backfiller here, as far as like if this was for sexual encounters that I remember. From the sound of it, when she says that here, it sounds like it's for sexual encounter, which I can understand maybe the fear and like the fear of like, oh my God, meeting this person whom you held in such a high regard. Now you're going to go fuck them. But, I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit, this person's a bit sheltered, from this story. It's not playing down her allegations yet. We'll get to the allegations. As you can see, the trip and the incident's coming right on up. Wait, no, play.
There were some other things that happened as well that made me uncomfortable that I let slide. For example, he had sent me an unsolicited dick pic, and even more often he would ask for an audio or for lewd photos of myself.
That one, there's a couple other things in here like that that were weird to me. Like, I think it was supposed to be like an audio clip. Like, I don't know whether that means like her like climaxing or like sexy talk or what, but like it's just, I don't know, the whole send me an audio. There's a thing you'll see later on with the pizza truck that didn't totally make sense to me.
I know I am not the only one he would ask, which makes me sad. He pressured and pushed me into sending photos. Sometimes I would actually, even though I didn't want to, which I definitely shouldn't have. There is also a very uncomfortable thing as well I found when rereading our messages. He admitted to masturbating to my voice on streams. I know you can't really stop that, and people have minds of their own. But I don't want to know you are doing that.
And okay, again, now they're all VTubers, so we kind of saw at the beginning of this. You don't actually, they have no idea what each other really maybe looks like outside of maybe in their Discord servers and whatnot. Like, these are people that aren't really showing their face, like some other commentary people or just whatever, like Mr. Beast and all that. Like, wait, on streams, like he went full on DSP. So I don't think he did it on his streams. I think he was getting off to her streams of her VTuber character and her voice. And so that's where it plays back into that whole other thing with the audios. Like, I don't know if it was just her. It could have been maybe like her saying things like cheddar cheese. And like, he's like, oh baby, oh baby. Or is it like they were flirting, or was it more like sexual talk, or was it like we've heard with some of this other stuff, like other allegations where like it's the person climaxing? Like, there's been a lot of different crazy audio files that we've heard out there. So I don't know, but from the sounds of it, it could have been really anything if he was really into her voice to that extent.
I know you can't really stop that, and people have minds of their own. But I don't want to know you are doing that. It made me feel gross and never want to speak again. I was trying to play a game and have fun, not have some guy, let alone somebody who I thought was my best friend, jack it to my voice on a stream. The trip plus the incident. My first day of the trip I did not meet Tora. The second day of the trip, however, is when we planned that we would meet up after the HoloLive concert and take an Uber together to the Scarlet Kingdom / City Airbnb, and we would hang out there for a bit. However, plans didn't end up entirely that way, and little did I know, that night I would grow to dread. My hollow friend and I met up.
Jim, that made me laugh a little too much. I'm be a cheddar cheese baby, and you will be my cheeseburger.
My hollow friend and I met up and hung out during the early half of the day, before he took us in his car to pick up some other hollow friends who were in the same HoloLive shitpost server.
The fact that they got like, okay, like, I'm not gonna knock it. Bands have different names for their, like, the hollow friend. It just sounds like an awful like terminology. Like, okay, I'm not gonna knock. I like Slipknot. Like, their fans are called maggots. Okay, speaking of, there's bad maggot lately, but that's gonna be another stream. Anyway, the hollow friends just sounds awful. I don't know why. A hollow friend like that. I don't know. I get this weird image between like the hollow like bunnies that you get on Easter. It's that time of year. and like just like hollow people, like shallow, like I don't know, without any real like substance to them.
We all carpooled to the end pre-show, because that's where we were gonna meet another hollow friend who ordered a pizza for all of us. I can't remember if it was on the drive there or at the pre-show when I found out Tora and a different VTuber friend of his were also at the pre-show, which was at some large park. While we were in line for the pizza distribution, that's when Tora walked over to us. I think I told him where we were. That is when I saw him. He liked to make fun of it, but I was too scared to hug him. Ultimately,
it's okay. Right here. We just the hollow friend who ordered pizza. The pizza distribution. This one messed with me. We were at while we were in line for the pizza distribution. This sounds like you're getting your daily ration. Like, I don't know. Like, what the hell kind of stuff goes on at this concert? Like, I'm not 100% certain. But that guy has no game. Imagine flirting with someone by, yo, honey, I touch my genitals to you. Yeah.
Ultimately he coerced me into giving him a hug and I felt a bit more at ease. I was nervous not only because of social anxiety and being an introvert, but because I was under the impression him and I were going to do something the following night. We get our pizza, and this is where the meetup picture is taken and tweeted. Also,
all right, and by the way, like this meetup picture, here's how like reclusive these people are. I mean, you know, whatever. You want to hide your identity. I'm not going to knock you. But, like, their meetup picture was them holding their phones like this, side by side with their characters on it. And their hands, their living actual hands, are in the picture. That's about it.
Also, side note, he was the one who chose the lewd art, and thought it'd be a funny joke. I don't know what his intentions were at this time, but also something to point out. Then we went our separate ways to the venue. After the concert, me and my hollow friend are waiting for Tora to come out of the venue. It took a very long time because once you left the...
This story is about to become Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, okay? This, literally in a couple ways. Hot take. If I was a VTuber, there's no way in hell I would go to a meetup. The whole point that I want my anonymity. Yep. Yeah. Like, I get it. I do get the anonymity of it. Like, you want to be. So, like, it's just, it was kind of funny because it was like, okay, so, like, this was their big picture together, was their characters side by side on their own individual phones. I don't know. I thought that was a little, like, I'm not gonna lie, sad. Like, you could have taken a real photo and blurred your faces out. Like, there's video editing, like photo editing software. Like, you can edit basically anything. And I mean, like, look, it took forever for them to catch the freaking the child diddler that was Mr. Swirl. I don't know if you've ever heard about that story. This dude, all he did was use a freaking swirl like feature to like hide his face, and it was like from like Photoshop or some type of tool like that. And he just did this swirl feature on his face. Well, there was no way for the FBI to apparently like undo it, I guess. Like, they didn't have any tools that were able to undo it. This guy ran free, like, not even just the FBI, I should say. This is like a whole Interpol thing, because this guy was going like country to country, like shopping for children, okay? This guy was wanted by Interpol and a couple other different agencies. And they couldn't figure out how to identify him because of this. And like, he even went by Mr. Swirl on like some of these predator boards. And the way they ended up ultimately catching him, oddly enough, somebody took that same image and like took the same point and clicked swirl again and then did undo, and it like restored it or something. I don't know. But like somehow they were able to undo it using the exact same program that he used, and like they finally identified this guy, but it was by like the simplest means ever. But if the police couldn't figure out how to do it, like I'm not saying that people are dumb, but you're not really interesting enough necessarily for people to really want to go out there to figure this shit out. Okay, I digress.
It took a very long time because once you left these gates, security didn't want us to go back in. Eventually he comes out and I say goodbye to my hollow friends. I order an Uber and we begin the walk to the pickup area.
Here comes the wild ride.
This is where things change. Tora tells me that we can't do anything because essentially he was talking to this other person who lives in the same state as him and kinda wants to pursue them, and they think they are a thing. So it would technically be okay to do things, but out of respect for them he wouldn't. I wasn't really upset about him and I wouldn't hook up.
Okay. I'm going to preface, like, there's a little bit of things that are going to come up here that might get confusing otherwise if I don't preface them. So apparently, this Tora guy is, bisexual. But I think he, like, primarily goes after, like, even female presenting males. So that's a thing. And then on top of it, he's a bit of a promiscuous dude. You're gonna find out. He's got a couple interesting things that I'll talk about after we get done with this, before we get to his apology and the other allegation. I don't know which way I'm gonna play the order on that, so we might listen to the other allegation. I don't want to ruin it, but I don't know how to word it. And you'll understand why I don't know how to word it until I get to it.
I wasn't really upset about him and I wouldn't hook up. I was a bit relieved, to be honest. What I was upset about was the fact he for months lead me on and pressured me into doing things, sending things, making it seem like he wanted me, just to be tossed out. I felt stupid and used for letting my walls down. I kicked myself for thinking I expected any different from him. After all, it wasn't the first time he had this playboy mentality. He took pride in the fact he had many feminine people wrapped around his finger. He liked telling them what they wanted to hear. He treated them like objects almost. I was a fool to think he'd treat me any different. I tried to choke back my anger and sadness and we walked back. And
so you kind of heard it there. He had many feminine people wrapped around his little fingers or whatever. So that kind of reconfirms what I'm talking about.
I tried to choke back my anger and sadness and we walked back to the Uber pickup spot. In the Uber there was a point where our Uber driver asked Tora and I if he could quickly take a piss. Shockingly he pulled in a neighborhood and began pissing in some random's lawn. When he was out of sight Tora rested his head on my shoulder and held my hand in the back of the car. I didn't really want him to touch me, but I unfortunately am a people pleaser and let him. He just said something along the lines of how he was so sorry and hoped I wasn't mad at him. I don't remember my response, but whatever it was probably to get him to lay off it, because I was upset and didn't want to talk about it. I cannot remember if this tweet was before or after he did this, but hey, race a tweet I made, that Tora encouraged, just to prove there was a point in time where the Uber driver was not present.
Okay, and all this tweet has said was basically their Uber driver's literally taking a piss. That's it. Like, it's not some shocking revelation you're missing here.
After a bit, we finally make it to the Scar City Airbnb. It's fun and Tora gets to meet everyone for the first time. We got there pretty late as the tweet above shows, and my hotel was over an hour drive away, so the Airbnb gang lets us both spend the night. Kioi brings us a spare pillow and blanket.
Kioi, Val Soup there. The person that they're going to mention a couple times here, they're staying at their house, and when they refer to this person later, there is a picture that comes up. The picture's really like awful. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it wasn't even, again, there's so many parts to this that weren't justifiable to really like, oh, I want to show you guys this. Like, it's a picture taken from a dark room towards a light room. Like, this dude standing in the doorway, like he's just like a big dude. Like, not like fat, just like large, like tall. And he's this ominous, like standing in this doorway with this light behind him. And that's really like all there is to this picture that you're going to hear referred to later on.
The plan is for us to sleep on each end of the couch. Here is...
So this was just like an L-shaped couch, coffee table, TV, and then like a space. And this is not articulated well in the drawing that they're referring to here. There's space, like a decent amount of space, and then like a set of bifold like slatted doors. Okay, so when I say bifold slatted doors, just so we're all on the same page, like here's a set of bifold slatted doors, so you know what I'm talking about. Like right here, like your typical like kind of closet type style doors, except imagine bigger for a room. But that's kind of what we're talking about. And so when the picture is taken, the guy is like kind of standing in front of this bifold slatted door that's been folded open on one side with a light behind him. All you can see is pure black, and then you see the sofa, and that's apparently where she was, and it's taken by this Tora Karu guy. Okay, so I've now given you an even better understanding, because it took me a second, of what this whole setup looked like, because the drawing wasn't that great.
Here is a floor plan to help envision. Everyone calls it for the night when I am laying on my back on one side of the couch. Tora is on his phone from what I remember on the other side. Lasers is awake but in his room with the door closed. However, one thing to note about his room is that the door was shuttered.
Oh. I might have messed up the dude's name. Lasers is the guy, not Val Soup that we heard about before. Lasers is the dude the house that they're staying at, and he's in his room. And so they're on this L-shaped couch, and the only way this makes sense based off of stuff that I've seen is that they're kind of like feet to feet in the corner of the L. And like, so the guy's head is towards one end of the L, and then her head's towards the other end of the L. So they're literally like, their feet are the closest things to each other.
However, one thing to note about his room is that the door was shuttered, which means you could see movement through each side and you could hear quite a bit. After some time of us both being on our phones, I hear Tora asking me if I love him. I am still upset and I do not answer. It feels like a split second afterward I hear shuffling and moving, and the next thing I know Tora is on top of me, and the way he was on me I couldn't push him off. I remember in this exact moment I felt fear, upset, and confusion. And
so these are the real heart of the allegations right here. So this is what the story comes down to. And I'm not meaning like to detract from it, but this is the meat and potatoes of it right here.
I remember in this exact moment I felt fear, upset, and confusion. He doesn't stop there though. He kisses me on the cheek and whispers in my ear. I do not remember exactly what he says to me, as I have repressed a lot of the specifics, but what I can say is I did not consent. I did not want him on top of me, I did not want him to kiss my cheek, and I did not want him to get close to me. I wanted to disappear from the moment. I wanted to scream, or cry, or shove him off. But I was frozen. I couldn't move. Was he going to stop there? I hoped he would. I was pinned. I was helpless. I remember asking him what the fuck he was doing, and luckily Lasers on the other side of his room heard me, or movement, because he came outside of his room. When Tora heard him coming, he practically flew off of me. Him doing that shows me that he knew what he had done was wrong. Lasers didn't see or hear everything from what I remember, but he from my memory said he heard movement and wanted to see what was happening. I was too scared or shocked to say anything. Tora ended up changing the subject and brought up how ominous Lasers looked in the doorway of his room, because it was the only thing lit around us. He then took a picture of Lasers, which...
And I already explained all that to you.
He then took a picture of Lasers, which he then also ended up editing to remove both of our heads and showing to his stream. Nobody knew that photo was taken after Tora assaulted me. Every time I look at it, I get a pit in my stomach. For privacy purposes of this doc I will include the edited version. The day after I don't bring it up until I am in a Uber with Lasers and Scar before they get dropped off to the convention center. I don't share all the details but I essentially thank Lasers for saving me. After the trip. I am mad at Tora still after the trip. It isn't till I agree and admit I hate him in a playful interaction where I confront him about everything, the leading on, and bring up him getting on top of me.
Okay, and so this is the stuff that I was kind of lazy because there's so much of the stuff you're going to see with the Lyle convoy and Peach's side that I didn't really go back and get all the screenshots for this. Suffice it to say, she recounts this whole thing to him and basically tears him kind of a new one over this in DMs, okay, on Discord. He then like lays into her as far as like apologizing, but kind of like also brushing stuff off. Like, I don't know. It was kind of a twofold thing. And so he's apologizing in one hand and like feels bad for tactically kissing her the way he did. And in the other hand, he's like, it wasn't a big deal and blah, 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 which who is to say? Like, I'm sorry, like if he was on top of her holding her shoulders down and he did that, like who's to say his intentions weren't maybe to go further? Who's to say maybe it wasn't to do with something else? But at the same time, like he could have just been playing around and like jumped on her to kiss her and apologize. I don't know. Either way, this is definitely more than the tactical cuddling that we heard, okay?
I confronted him on the 13th of July 2023. I don't think sharing the entire confrontation is terribly needed, but essentially he brushes off the assault and thinks I'm more mad that we didn't have sex. And not the emotional manipulation and assault, which I correct him on. He apologizes and says he will be better. If people think I'm lying, I can include the whole first confrontation in a edited version. A thing I want to point out here, is that he brushed off and didn't address the assault. I didn't want to cut him off entirely back then because I was still attached because of what he did for me and how he was there for me in a really rough spot. I believed I must have been overreacting and that the assault wasn't that big of a deal. So I made the mistake of letting him silence me. I let him for the most part get away with it. I never pushed. Current day. It wasn't until in a VC with some friends recounting the AX trip where I mentioned what happened to me in more fuller detail. That is where I learned what happened.
So this obviously happened in 2023. So now we're 6 or so months later.
That is where I learned what happened to me shouldn't have been brushed off or ignored. I was
Maybe
assaulted,
a little more.
full stop. Hearing those words, applying it to what happened to me, changed things. It reopened the wound. I began to have nightmares. I began to have the situation play over and over in my mind, and I began to think about what would have happened if I did this, that, said this, that, etc. After a few days of coping with this reality, I realized I couldn't let this slide anymore. I confronted Tora, telling him I was going to cancel our upcoming collab and that I wasn't comfortable even being his friend anymore. I will be showing the whole confrontation this time, in full, because I think it shows how gross and backhanded his apology is. Feel free to read the message in full. But the fact he brings up how he was glad I didn't impulsively make a tweet longer is a weird ad. Asking it to not be shared, is also a weird ad. Tora also did not keep it between us. I have confirmed proof of him going to other people who are also close to me, telling them that it was all a misunderstanding. Assault is not a misunderstanding. Saying you are sorry you came off that way is not an apology.
This guy's...
He couldn't even admit he assaulted me.
Like now kind of downplaying it a little bit, and that's part of the messages that I've seen. I'm trying to explain this. Basically, the way I saw it was like all the messages kind of at once. Oh, come on.
He couldn't even admit he assaulted me. He didn't say assault once in his messages. I wasn't going to share my story. I really wasn't. But it wasn't until he went around to my friends for damage control, did it really spark something within me. He wasn't sorry. He hasn't changed. He doesn't care that he hurt me, he cares that he got caught and the future that it could have for his career. He was willing to throw away all the memories and take advantage of me and my trust. I cannot even begin to formulate how hurt I am by that realization. Well, guess what? I will not be disrespected. I will not sit here and let you silence me. I will not let you go around telling my friends that assault was a misunderstanding. I will no longer be manipulated by you. I will not let you get away with backhanded apologies and crocodile tears. I will no longer defend and turn a blind eye to your horrible habits and words you say about others. No more. I am done. I know this may come as a shock because to many we were really good friends, best friends even. We had great chemistry on streams, and we seemed inseparable. I know both of our communities like to watch us interact. I am sorry to let you all down. I am sorry if this is disheartening to hear, but it's the truth. I know I am far from a perfect good person either. However, what happened to me I believe could have happened to any naive friend who wanted to see the good in a friend who was there for you. I found courage to share this because I know I'm not the only femme person he interacts with. And
again, I'm gonna let it play out here at the end. We're like at the end of everything here, so I'm just gonna let it finish up, and then I'll give you a little more detail, and then we'll go into the next part.
I found courage to share this because I know I'm not the only femme person he interacts with, and I do not want you to be blinded by numbers and sweet talk. Please keep yourself safe. I also hope this doesn't start another male VTuber moment. Yes, there are bad male VTubers like there are bad apples in any community. There are plenty of good male VTubers too. A male VTuber saved me in my own words from a bad situation, and multiple male VTuber friends of mine have rallied and supported me behind the scenes before I even made this document. I could not have done this without them, or any of my friends coming out and supporting me. For so long I believed I was crazy and overreacting, and I felt so emotional and seen when they validated me. I will come back to streaming, when I can cope with this mess better. I am strong and brave. And I will keep moving forward. Thank you for your time. Lily.
Okay, so that's Lily's initial message. Okay, so from this, I guess when this initially came out, it was pretty jarring for the VTuber community. And what this kind of led to was this guy, Tora Karu, is basically like, hey, I'm gonna hang up the VTuber rigging and walk away, and I'm not gonna be doing the VTuber thing anymore. And on his Twitter account, he even put like an end date for the Twitter account. Like he was really about ready to walk away from all of this. Get a lot of crap unnecessarily when they basically the same as any other streamer. They really are. And I think she did a good thing, I will say, in her message here. I will not lie. Like when I got to it, when she started saying the stuff about the another male VTuber is the one that actually helped me out in this situation. A lot of male VTubers were the ones who rallied in support behind the scenes before anybody knew about this. So don't throw it's not every man. Like, there's a lot of these instances where these situations happen, and it's, I distinctly remember a couple where it's like, it's all men until it's no men kind of thing. Or it's, all guys until it's no guys and all that. And it even gets used with the cops, with it's all cops until it's no cops. All cops are bad until it's no cops are bad, kind of thing. Like that's kind of what they're referring to. And so I kind of was really appreciative and impressed with how she put this at the end. Whether I think it was an assault to the level that she claims, there's nobody that can really judge aside from her in this point. I'm gonna say that. I mean, none of us were in the room when this shit happened. It was her and this Tora Karu, and I will say that the actions of Tora Karu kind of make me a bit suspicious of the dude, and I'm gonna kind of lay out why. So Tora Karu says that he gets these allegations are put up. And he's like, I'm gonna kind of step away from things. And he's like, I'm gonna hang up the VTuber lifestyle. Well, things start snowballing, kind of as they do with all these allegations. And I genuinely don't think this was her intention to like start a movement. But a couple people kind of come forward and really start kind of laying down other additional allegations. One of those people is Tora Karu's partner. We'll go with that. Yeah, we'll play the partner thing. Let's play Tora's response to this. So Tora Karu eventually ends up putting up this apology that I'm about to play now. Okay? Well, within 30 minutes, he takes this apology back down because he gets such bad feedback. I've got a version of this saved that when this was going to be a bigger portion of the stream, I was going to go over, and I thought it was funny. Someone took this apology that you're about to hear, okay? And they're an actual like board certified like psychologist, and they went through and picked his fucking apology apart. And it was funny, and he did not fucking pass. But then we're going to go on to Tora Karu's partner, who, as you can see, if you read the beginning there, is gender fluid, male presenting. It just gets really interesting. There's some backlash with that as well. So let's start with Tora.
Hello everyone, this is Tora Karu. I fucked up.
I told you got different voices.
That's all I can really say about it. No matter what I say as an excuse, I will take accountability for it. All of it. Do not go after anyone else not involved. TLDR, I will accept my failure and graduate entirely. I am not going on hiatus. There will be no alternate persona. It is complete graduation. What I will say first is thank you to everyone who ever did believe in me, past or present. I am sorry to make it end in such a way. I appreciate all of the good times and bad. I genuinely did enjoy talking to so many of you, I made a lot of close friends, and was able to meet so many amazing people. There are probably a lot of people who think badly of me from word of mouth, from seeing how I may interact with others, and how I just generally post whatever I feel like saying. I am 100% sure there are many people that thought that guy is just a flirt, or that guy is a clout chaser, or that guy artificially inflates his numbers, so on and so on. And likewise, there may be people who always thought, nah, he's not that bad.
Okay, I gotta say, like, those are some very specific, like, quotations. Like, someone out there definitely called him out on those inflated numbers, and he has not forgotten them calling him out on that. Let's just say that.
And likewise, there may be people who always thought, nah, he's not that bad. He is just dumb. I have been called out by many to be tactless and insensitive to others many times. I will say that when it happened, I tried my best to improve. Of course, the results in the end are what matter. Forgiveness is provided by the victims, and many times there is no reason for there to be any forgiveness. Whatever intentions you have do not directly correlate with what is perceived. There are a couple things that were said in the document which can make everything seem infinitely worse than how it was initially. First and foremost, it is no secret that I flirt around with a lot of people. Most of the time it would be just compliments or NSFW comments that lead to nowhere. I sometimes would end up engaging in intimate online relationships with others. When it came to any very NSFW relationships such as these, I 100% made sure that there was no dedicated commitment, and it was not expected for me to purely talk to that single person. With many other people also providing their insight and personal experience.
Tell me this doesn't sound weird to you already. Like, we're like a third of the way through this already. Tell me this apology just doesn't straight up sound fucking weird. Like, there's very specific call-outs, like with the quotes, and now like just the wording that he chooses here. Again, this is unedited. I've not edited any of these people's documents that they put forward. This one's already gone. Like, it was deleted. But I've got two versions of it just to prove that, like, I didn't edit anything. I've got this version, which I copied directly from Tora Karu's Google Drive that he posted before he deleted it. And then I got the other version, which was the graded version done by the psychologist in like the half an hour span that it was already up and taken down.
With many other people also providing their insight and personal experiences. If those ever came off as crude and disgusting, I am sorry for that. 100% of the time I was either teasing or making a nasty joke, but sometimes I clearly forgot to ask if something like that is alright to say. I had to learn a lot about conversing properly in an online setting throughout the years. I still have a lot more to learn. I also have been raised to give others affection through words. If I have the knowledge that someone is a minor / cannot consent to NSFW, I would never engage in NSFW conversation. I tell everyone that I think is nice, cool, caring, or etc. that I love you. Everyone who is in my family and my friends knows that I tell everyone that I love them. I apologize if this makes anyone uncomfortable. But I am not being malicious by calling someone that I considered a younger sibling cute. Likewise, if a minor was to engage in NSFW talk with me, I would immediately retract and...
Not gonna lie, that's the first time the younger sibling thing comes up tonight, but it's not gonna be the last. The sibling thing is going to get brought up quite a bit tonight. So be prepared for that. Mind you, none of these people are actually related when they say the word sibling. These are people that are so parasocial, so online, that they create these pseudo families. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't know anybody that well to where like I would consider them family without ever like having met them, had them sit at my table or anything like that. You know, like I don't know. I believe in like the personality of like tangibility, like to have you there having a conversation.
Likewise, if a minor was to engage in NSFW talk with me, I would immediately retract and stop interacting. Second, I would like to assess the issue of me cheating with my current partner. I have thoroughly discussed with my partner on the events that have taken place and reached an understanding regarding it. The major misunderstanding was that I was going to be physically intimate with Lily around my partner's back. This is 100% false. For full clarification, I had stated to mutual friends that my anniversary with my partner was March. This is what was assumed by Lily and relevant parties to be when me and my partner would be exclusive to each other. A very stupid mistake was that I misremembered that our anniversary date was actually in April, the day of our first date in person. The reality is that me and my partner made that day our anniversary, but we had only sat down seriously with each other and decided to be exclusive to each other after the events at AX. I was not in a committed relationship as the event occurred. There was no cheating taking place. Third, the most important topic at hand. The event at the Airbnb. There is a lot of hearsay of exactly what happened. This is unfortunate because everything that has been said about the event was from an undocumented night with only memories from 9+ months ago from various accounts. It was a very emotional time for everyone involved. Context for what had occurred is that in the months prior, me and Lily were planning to be intimate physically the night after the HoloLive concert. We both mutually agreed that we would. I had asked her several times whether or not she wanted to continue with the plan leading up to the vacation. She had agreed every time. I would not have continued if she said no a single time. Directly after the HoloLive concert, I had decided to tell Lily that I would no longer like to continue with the arrangement. I want to commit to someone else and stop what is between us before it gets any worse. We are both understandably upset at the situation. While waiting for the Uber and driving all the way towards the Airbnb, Lily was not very talkative. I had admittedly become very anxious at Lily becoming nonverbal and proceeded to ask her if she was alright. My form of being annoying and prodding in general is to ask things such as, "Are you still my friend? Do you love me? I still love you, Lily. Please don't be mad at me," and so forth. I would continue being petty and prodding by doing it while poking her and holding her hand. We had a fun time playing games and indulging in different substances late into the night. Me and Lily did not feel like taking an Uber all the way back to downtown, so we decided to sleep on the couch provided at the Airbnb. Everyone headed to bed and I was still feeling upset because even by now, Lily did not reciprocate any of my attempts to talk to me. I wish to emphasize how explicitly careful I am now. I know by now, I will not engage in any sexual activity with Lily. I just want her to talk to me and tell me she doesn't hate me anymore. I want it.
Okay, now this shit right here, I've got a little bit of a problem with, because this is like, this guy needs to go get a life. Okay, he is too caught up in the feelings of like not having people like him or whatever the fuck you want to say, and this guy needs to fucking let go. Like, learn to read women, man. Like, she was obviously pissed off at you in the car ride. She didn't want anything to do with you. She didn't want anything to do with you at the Airbnb. Take the fucking hint. Like, this is why women sit there and say things are a sexual assault or assaults or whatever, because you got guys like this that are fucking clingy that can't let it fucking go.
I just want her to talk to me and tell me she doesn't hate me anymore. I wanted my friend to tell me she was okay, and if she communicated that she wanted me to stop bothering her at any time, I would. I decided to bother her.
And I disagree with that. If she wanted me to stop bothering her at any time, all she had to do was communicate that, and he would. Or he would, right? She did communicate that, both verbally and non-verbally. Like, by not talking to you, by not responding to you, obviously she was mad. Like, just as much as like with the George Not Found stuff, like, we had non-verbal communication. She was laughing, she was playing, they were play fighting, they were having a good time by all accounts, because take into hand, you got Ghosty's account on that, you had Dream's account, you had George's Not Found account, Taco Dude's account. They all sat there and said they were all having a good time. Like, there was no misread. Again, here, there's no fucking misread. This woman does not want you bothering with her, touching her, just whatever at that point. And like, you probably would have been worlds ahead had you like let her alone, let her cool down, let her collect her thoughts. You maybe like just go over and be normal in the corner for a second or something. You know what? She might have talked to you by the end of the night. But you escalated shit, and you just said it right here. I decided to bother her some more. Point blank, period. You just fucking decided to escalate it. He's in a way acting like they were together. Exactly, Jim. All right,
I decided to bother her some more before we go to sleep as a final attempt. She is lying down on the couch with a blanket on top of her. I decide to sit around her knee area like I was sitting down on the couch normally with my legs dangling to the floor. I explicitly do not use my hands at all. I was not going to do anything NSFW like touching the thighs, buttocks, breasts, crotch, or etc. I would not use my hands to touch anything. I continue sitting on her and still no response. I decide to lean over and whisper, Lily, I love you. You're still my friend, right? Once again, I did not utilize any sexual or deep voice at all because I would not be engaging in any NSFW activity.
Bro, you deepening your voice does not mean it's sexual. It probably would have come off creepier at that point had you done that. So good on you for not doing that. That sounds about like the smartest thing you did. But you literally sat on this girl and pinned her legs down. And like, she withheld that portion. And like, just basically said that you had gotten on top of her. Well, by pinning her legs down and sitting on top of her legs, and you go to lean over on top of her, no matter what way you think about how you're doing this, A, you probably used your hands to brace yourself. So now you're all encompassing her. And B, like, you definitely had more than half of her body under your control, like under your body to where she couldn't move. So like, I don't blame her.
This is my annoying, petty, and high-pitched voice that I use to annoy others. Even then there was no response, and I finished by kissing her on the cheek. I decided to stop there because I wouldn't go any farther than that. I still wouldn't touch her with my hands, I wouldn't move my legs to straddle her, and I wouldn't kiss her on the mouth. An unfortunate coincidence is because I was moving around a lot and still not sleeping, a mutual friend had said out loud, "What are you guys doing?" right as I did the last thing. I then laid down on my side of the couch, messed around with my phone, and then eventually fell asleep. In the end, this is something that, in the perception of Lily, was very intimate and a breach of trust from a close friend.
Yes, Jim, like, I'm not gonna lie, I agree with you there. Like, he basically did what every woman is taught the stereotypical rape situation is. Like, he had full control of her in every way, shape, and form. Like, she couldn't run away, she couldn't leave, she couldn't move, she couldn't stop it. Like, she was beyond any form of control other than saying, "What are you doing?" Which, according to her, is what brought this friend's attention. According to you, it didn't happen until later on. Like, this is only where you guys disagree. And I don't disagree with this woman. I don't. I think that you gave her way too many red flags to deal with. I mean, you did.
In the end, this is something that, in the perception of Lily, was very intimate and a breach of trust from a close friend. My intention was to be annoying and make my friend talk to me again. I was never told by Lily that she felt uncomfortable as the event occurred and we both went to sleep.
What was she gonna do? Like, be like, the most she probably would have done is yell stop at that point? That'd really look bad on you, man. Like, that'd looked worse. You're on top of her, on top of a sofa, controlling her in a weird situation, in a weird environment where she's probably already not comfortable. It's not her home. It's not her bed. You know, this is the first time you guys have met. This is the first time she's away from home. Like, there's so many, like, I don't even know how to explain it, man. Like, every guy's got to go through the growing pains of, like, learning, like, what are green flags and what are red flags. But the fact that you made it to drinking age, roughly, because I don't know how old you are, and like hadn't picked up none of these social skills, like I don't know what to tell you, man. Like I learned a lot of the no's and like stops and stuff like that pretty fucking quick, like just out of like sheer panic of being like 14 taking a girl on a date. And I'm like, is this okay? Is this okay? Is this okay? And she's like, stop. like like, yes, it's okay. Stop it. If it's not okay, I'll tell you. All right. And then like you kind of like, did you have no social life whatsoever? Like that's how it's reading to me. Are you is everyone in this group just so socially inept that like they have no social skills to where like she didn't feel empowered to say stop? And you know what? I'm still going to give it to her. She could have been scared in that situation. You definitely from everything I'm reading here, did not have enough social skills to know when to stop, to know what a red flag is, to know like back off, to know like anything. Like it man, I'm not gonna lie, like there's been people I've seen at parties that are like you, that like I've either said something or I've left because I'm like, you're killing the vibe, man. Like you're literally the guy that kills the vibe.
The following day, I was never told she felt uncomfortable and we both said goodbye to each other normally when we separated. I went home and did not contact her for a while because I wanted to give her space since being childish wasn't working. She confronted me on the 13th of July and wanted closure on our events. She quite literally says in the document that I did in fact apologize but not explicitly. Even after further asking if she would want to talk more about anything in specific, she says that there is nothing else to say. I push no further. I assume everything has been resolved. Every single DM afterwards is us talking normally and this is not brought up ever again. We interacted with each other similarly to how we did before. I had collaboration streams, voice calls, and many Discord messages of us goofing around. There was no further communication about this topic until a couple days ago. I will say that in person, I have quite literally never done anything except for hugging other females in the entire 9+ months that this occurred. I have only been intimate with my partner. Lastly, to let myself and the rest of everyone involved move on, I decided that I will be graduating. This means I will be ending all content creation on all platforms and eventually stop using my Discord. Any who wish to remove me on things like Mutual Video Games or Steam, feel free to do so. I don't intend to return to another account and I don't intend to return after everyone forgets. I will separate myself completely from content creation. I understand that some will say good riddance and some may say it is too hasty of a decision. This is something that I promised in order to be better as a person. I appreciate everything good that has happened to me, and will use my bad memories as a learning experience. Thank you. Goodbye. A big disappointment is that I do have a lot of very amazing and beautiful model, assets, BGM, and art pieces which will go to waste. I am sorry to the artists who have provided these things for me. If anyone would like to purchase any of these for exactly the price that I had purchased, you may contact me at the email which I will keep open. torakaruVT@gmail.com.
Okay. I wanted to let that last portion after the goodbye play
Hello
out.
everyone.
No, we're not starting that again. I wanted to let that last portion play out because he got a lot of backlash on that last portion. Like I didn't realize this. I don't know. Obviously I'm not a VTuber. Surprise, I know. This is actually how ugly I am. No, I'm kidding. But like I didn't understand this until I read through some things. Apparently, like the intellectual property of the art and music and stuff like that, even though he purchased it for use, is not his. It is still retained by the artist. And the artist in this scenario basically said, hey, I'm not okay with this stuff being sold on to other people. And I did not okay that. Basically, you know, they must retain some artist control, which cool, whatever. But they really spoke out and they had a big fucking problem with this. So in all of this, like I said, he takes this apology down after 30 minutes. Okay. So in all of this, for whatever reason, his significant other decides to put forth their side of things.
To start, I am a male presenting gender fluid individual. My pronouns he/him online and prefer to be acknowledged as a male.
Okay, there we go.
To start, I am a male presenting gender fluid individual. My pronouns he/him online and prefer to be acknowledged as a male. We have been dating for roughly 11 months now with its series of ups and downs. He has learned a lot about dating through me, but there is no denying it was a very rough start. I will not go too much in depth about our relationship, but I will show a timeline of us dating. April 23rd, our first ever date/meetup. Around May 20th, I asked about us, but we never established a fully monogamous relationship yet, but I was interested after chatting with him some more. This would put us in a situationship, which is something that was both of our faults, me for not being more clear and up.
Yeah, Jim, actually, that's spot on. I basically essayed someone. What about my memorabilia?
This would put us in a situationship, which is something that was both of our faults, me for not being more clear and upfront, him for technically leading me on. After AX, he told me a different story, similar to Lily but opting out the part where he got on top or extremely close to her and made her uncomfortable. This is when we also fully decided to pursue each other and move into a much serious and long-term relationship. He would begin to work on being less flirty outright towards people or leading people on, as he has a tendency of that. I am not defending him, but he did not cheat on me, as his interactions were not serious about any dating. But it was still utterly wrong for him to have led people on towards thinking it was a possibility. Mid-July, a situation occurred that made me realize he needed to focus on making it clear to others and his audience of his stance on dating and flirting with others without outright saying we have been a couple. This is to
I'm sorry, but the way this voice thing reads out certain lines, it just makes it funny. Like, yeah, this person makes a lot of excuses in here, and they got a lot of serious backlash. But I'm gonna let it continue.
This is to put into perspective our relationship timeline from my point of view and my thoughts about situations that have occurred. We kept our relationship private due to my small creator self and to test the waters in our relationship. I will admit I am flirty online as well, but I constantly remind people that my flirts are to be taken as a compliment or platonic gesture. That it is all in playful fun. If I notice someone taking it into heart, I remind them I do not intend to date them. If I notice someone uncomfortable with it, I tone it down or stop. I remind people to tell me when enough is enough, and I will respect that. What happened to Lily and many others is not okay. It was terrible and they did not deserve that to happen to them. Please send them your support and kind words, and I send them all of my support and condolences to what occurred. From here I stopped focusing on the online aspect of our relationship and focused on it more IRL, as that is where it mattered to me most. After much consideration and chats with him, I will continue our relationship. However, I have informed him that what he did is not acceptable at all. As a woman, it is never okay to make a woman uncomfortable. It is never okay to beg for favors or corner us. I will do my best to help him understand the severity of this situation while concentrating in building a future with him outside of VTubing. From here, please do not ask me about him/us unless you are a close friend. I wish to keep it private moving forward. I intended to come out as gender fluid here later in Pride Month, but I believe it was crucial for me to come out now and explain my timeline.
So, there was that. That was something now, wasn't it? Yeah, so this person basically just kind of gives this like really quick timeline. Doesn't actually say much, kind of excuses their behavior, their significant other's behavior. I don't, boyfriend or whatever. Yeah, I kind of dated Tora, but fuck that guy. Support Lily. YOLO. Yeah, that was basically, you know what, Jim? I think that might have been a longer message than he initially wrote. I think he fluffed it up a lot because he realized there wasn't enough words. Yeah, so this guy's whole input into this situation was pretty fucking unnecessary. We don't know if George Is Not Found is like dating someone else. We don't know if Dream was dating someone else. We don't know if Wilbur's suit was biting someone else. We don't know if any of these people previous to this were involved in any other relationship, because their significant others, for the most part, have shut the fuck up. They did not feel the need to speak out. Why this person in this situation felt the need to speak out is fucking beyond me. I don't fucking know. There was no reason for it. It served no fucking purpose. It didn't do anything other than I feel like made their significant other maybe look a little bit more worse, honestly, by their significant other sitting there saying that, like, oh yeah, they flew around, they did a bunch of shit that was shitty, but it's okay, we talked about it. They stopped. Like, what kind of fucking excuse is that? Oh my fucking god. So, from this, it was also found out that this guy, I don't know if it was on like on Twitter or on Discord or something. I saw pics. It looked like it was on Twitter. But basically this guy had different groups set up, and he had like breeding and like fetish groups and stuff like this set up with these people in there. So he's got some fucking weird fetish shit going on too, that makes this all seem even more like cringe, like if it could be. And so it's just been interesting. There's been a bunch of people that have come out with a bunch of other allegations. There was 3 people initially. I felt Lily was the best voice to bring forward because Lily's story was first, and I feel like the first person to make an allegation typically is going to have the strongest allegation. And in this scenario, you know, there was a couple other people that were like, oh wait, he said this stuff to me, or oh wait, he was doing this stuff with me. Like, they just basically substantiated everything Lily said. So in the interest of time and everything else, because look at that, it's been an hour and a half and I've been able to knock one of these fucking stories out for once in my fucking life. But for all it's worth, like, I felt like Lily's story had the most information, had the biggest like justification, because it was like an actual meetup. There was another person who was like, they were like just right there, they were in the same area, and like they were gonna have a relationship, but she apparently lived too far away, but he was kind of like doing some of the same talk. Yeah, it was meh. But